Hello, I'm Rick Spatterfield, and I'd like to welcome you to a video about my Quilcom SIM-GANGSA. When I looked into it, I came to realise that the name Gangsa seemed to refer to two types of gamelan instruments. One type of Gangsa is like a xylophone with metal keys instead of wooden keys, and underneath the keys are bamboo tubes which act as resonators to accentuate the fundamental. The other type of gangsa is a flat metal gong with a deep rim. So I had some confusion there for a while. So I decided to make a synthesizer which could simulate a range of gamelan metallophones. The music for gamelan ensembles or orchestras make use of pentatonic scales, which are scales with 5-note divisions before the octave repeats. I've mapped these notes to the white notes from middle C upwards up to top G, so you can play pentatonic scales on just the white notes. What you heard then was a major pentatonic, but in the authentic music, some very weird and wonderful scale divisions are used, which I confess sound a little bit strange to my Western ears. So on the scale tuning panel, I've provided 4 default buttons here. So we have the Pelog, which is the most popular one these days, the older Slendro scale, and the major one which you've heard, and the minor one to act as starting points. Sets of gamelan instruments are all manufactured and tuned together, and the system of tuning varies according to local cultural traditions and the fancies of the persons making the instruments. So we can simulate all sorts of strange tunings by use of these controls here. Each control has a range of plus or minus 200 cents or 2 semitones. And the basic setting is dependent upon which scale we choose. Of course, you may want to change by whole semitones, in which case we click on the readout and it cycles through -2 to +2 semitones in a cyclic fashion. As an example, I've just set up what you might call an Egyptian sounding scale, and the knobs are arranged this way so that up and down these are octaves, so when you've got the scale right for the first octave you can copy that for the second, and these 2 keys here. And when you want to get back to 0 easily, just press the reset button and everything is set to 0, offset from these 4 scales. And as you probably guessed, these 3 knobs tune the whole instrument together. If you need a reminder of what this panel does, just click on the question marks there and you get a little text telling you what I've just said. The key bars and the gongs used in gamelans have a very long decay time typically. There are three types of playing technique. One is to hit the gong or metal bar and let it just ring out. Another is to hit the bar and then manually damp it. And finally, you can hit the bar or the gong while you're manually damping it. To be able to simulate this, I've provided a corresponding 2 and a bit octaves range of keys, which are 2 octaves down on the keyboard. So the bottom C on a 5 octave keyboard, which would be note 36, will damp middle C, and the D above that will damp the D above that. If you want to damp all the notes that are sounding at once, use the key B below middle C. So here we set the key tracked decay time, which is an approximate 6 seconds here. And here we set the damping time. So I'll set a long damping time. So while we're on this miscellaneous panel, I'll talk about the other 3 knobs. Strike is a macro control that controls the simulated hardness of the mallet, so we can go from very soft fluffy one to a hard hammer. The hammer control is a macro that controls the initial tap sound that you get from the metal. It's not the sound of the hammer itself, so it has a pitch, and you can adjust this pitch, and this is also controlled by the tuning of the instrument. So this is the sound of that. No hammer sound. So you need to set a pitch that corresponds to that initial metal hit. The 12 notes of the instrument are panned left right. So the lowest note is hard left, the highest note is hard right, and the others are placed linearly between them. So here you can set the width of that stereo field from mono to stereo to extra wide. So now we'll talk about the timbre designer, which is where you set the sound of the instrument. The top row of knobs sets the modes of vibration as ratios to the fundamental, and these are very often non-integer in metal struck instruments. Of course, as you saw there, and I should have mentioned, this row controls the level of each vibration mode. We have default buttons. If I click that, we get pairs of 1, 2, 3 and 4 times ratios, which we can use as starting points. And the level default sets all of them halfway. In addition, just for fun, we have random buttons. And we can also set the level of the fundamental frequency independent of these controls. There are two synthesizer models used. One is purely additive and the other one uses a bank of ring modulators, and you can morph between the two with the model knob. And that gives you a good range of possibilities. So that's my SIM-GANGSA instrument, and as always, lots more information in the user guide and the background info folder. I'm going to play out with a crazy bit of music I made, if you can call it music, using the fantasy presets. These are presets which don't aim to imitate anything or to simulate any Gamelan instruments. So have fun with it, and until the next time, bye.